All right, guys. So here's kind of the idea when we're working with this. I want to remind you, this is your trinomial. And A is the number in front, and C is the number at the end. And we're using those and the idea of foiling to work backwards and factoring. So again, what's the first thing you should always look for? And the first thing you should always look for is a greatest common factor. Can I divide all three by the same number? No. Can I take a variable of all three? No. Is there a greatest common factor? A resounding no. So then you go ahead and you put your two sets of parentheses down. Now I put my operations on the inside. Always do that first. Guys, do the stuff that makes a difference what you're doing first. Those of you who are stubborn and wait to the end make your life more miserable. So I look at this and I'm like, oh, look. That is a subtraction at the end. And remember, anytime you have subtraction at the end, you get both signs because you have different signs. So I go plus and a minus. Then I look at my factors. Okay, so when I look at my factors with this, I have 12 for A. And so I know my choices are going to be 1 and 12. You can still see that here for me. 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Now, all of those are fair game. Now, what one do you logically kind of goes in your head and is like, oh, I think I'm going to try this. And a lot of you go, oh, this is not too bad. I'm probably going to try, guess what, 3 and 4. 2 and 6 would be my next guess. So I'm going to try 3 and 4 first. So the first thing I do is I'm going to go 3x and 4x. Okay? Now, this is where it gets a lot easier on us. My other number, my C, is a -2, right? So I'm looking at 2, and I only have two factors, 1 and 2. So the thing is, 1 and 2 are going to be very easy for us to change around, right? So yeah, so we're going to go, okay, well, we totally can do this. So with that, I go 1 and then I go 2. Yeah, 1 then 2. I'm like, okay, now let's see. Now remember, I have to FOIL, so I'm going to do the O and the I. I'm going to oi. If you ever hear me in class, you'll hear me go, what are you supposed to do? And I'll go, oi it. It's kind of like my dancing for same side interior angles. It's something I'm pretty passionate about besides plugging in. So check your outside. I get a -6x. My inside is a +4x. Adds together to be a +2x. Was that a good choice if that's a +5x? No. So the next thing you're going to do, I'm going to sit there, and you can even use a big eraser like I am right now. All right. Switch the 2 and the 1 around first. I'm not giving up on 3 and 4 yet. So I sit there, and I'm going to put a 2 here and a 1 here. Now, when I look at this, I'm going to do the outside. I get a -3x. Inside, a +8x. Look what that gives me, a +5x. Is that what we want? You bet. You have factored that value. Now, I'm going to give you a hint. Earlier, when I first tried this, notice I had the 4x, oops, I had the 1 here, and I had the 4x minus 2 here. What told me that shouldn't work and I should never do it that way is the fact that if I look at just that binomial, do I have a greatest common factor? I could take a 2 out. Guess what? I had no greatest common factors up here. To have a greatest common factor here, that meant I should have. So the fact is, that should have never been done by me in the first place because of greatest common factors. Boom, that should never even been an option for me. I'm just crazy enough to try it in order to show you that it's okay to get it wrong to figure out what makes it right. But are you guys with me on this? Wonderful. Some of you are like, this is so easy. And some of you are like, why didn't we learn this last year? Here's the thing. We will get you there in the next several years to be phenomenal factors at our school. All right, let's look at E. Let's look at E on this one. This is 5x squared plus 36x plus 7. So again, I look for a greatest common factor. Boom, no GCF. No number comes out of all of them. No variable comes out of all of them. There we go. Now I have my 2 sets of parentheses. 2 sets. Now, again, I look at my sign, and I know it's at It's the positive. So I look back at that first page and say, okay, positive, I got to look at the sign before to figure out which one it is. Well, I look at the one before, and I'm like, oh, look, it's positive. So guess what you have this time, guys, right? Plus, plus. And then the other really awesome thing is you pray and hope for prime numbers. Like, a lot of them are the odd numbers, but not all. I have here, I get a 5 and a 7. So I know I have to have a 5x and I have to have a x. So for my A, my factors are 1 and 5. Look at your C. C is equal to 7 here. Guess what? It only has 2 factors, 1 and 7. So here's where I got to figure out, where do I put them? Do I put the 7 here and the 1 here? Quick check. 5x plus 7x is 12x. Was that a really good choice? No. But a lot of you are logically going, Gregerson, why did you do that? You know 7 times 5 is 35. Yeah, you're starting to see the pattern behind it. And then quick check. 35x plus 1x is 36x. You have factored that completely incorrectly. Isn't that like the coolest thing ever? All right, well, make sure everyone caught up with me. Let's do the last two. Last two. Number one thing on this first one, look for a what, scholars? That's right, a greatest common factor. I look here, guess what I don't have? A greatest common factor. But don't those numbers look nasty? And my comment is, stop. They're not that bad. Because when you sit there and use logical guess and check, you kind of figure out that I have enough numbers to kind of really try. It might take me 5 minutes, but I can get the right answer. So first thing, no greatest common factor. I'm going to put my 2 sets of parentheses down. I look at my sign. They are the same sign. Both are going to have to be what? Subtraction. Then I look at my A, which is 30, and I think, what are my factors of 30? 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, not 4, but we know 5 and 6. So there's all my factors. Now, if you were a person doing this, which 2 would you probably pick? I must admit, I'd probably try 5 and 6 first, but 3 and 10 or 2 and 15 would also work. So we have to kind of figure out where we're going to go. And again, this is a logical guess and check. I factored so much, my brain starts going real quickly to where these are. So I'm going to go with 5x, and I'm going to go with 6x. Again, if they don't work, I try something new. I try something new. So then I look at 14. My C is 14. What are your factors of 14? 1 and 14, 2 and 7. Which one do you guys think you'd probably use? Yeah, 2 and 7. So then I just plug them in to see what I get, okay? So I put a 7 here and a 2 here. I get here a negative 10x. Here I get a negative 42x. Oh, that's a negative 52x. Was that really smart? And the answer is, no, not really smart. Because the moment I said 7 times 6, I knew it was 42. That was almost to where my answer was. So what you do is you erase it, and what do you do next? Switch your 2 and your 7 around. Then when I check it, let me erase here. You still see that, great. I get my outside's a negative 35x, inside's a negative 12x. Guess what they add together to be? A negative 47x. Beautiful. Works out great. Now I want to show you one where a lot of people will be like, I can't do this. It's actually a really easy problem to do, but I'm going to show you a little bit how to approach it from a trinomial point. Some of you will remember a rule when I say a difference of 2 squares, that saves time. But when I look at this, what's the first thing you should look at? And everyone, I hope, is shouting right now, greatest common factor. Okay, yes, I did that in the sarcastic voice we use for other stuff in class. With this, I take out a 3. It's my greatest common factor. And I get 4x squared minus 1. Now, that is still a quadratic because of the squared. But could I rewrite it like this? I put a 0 in front of the x. That doesn't spell ox, that's a 0, okay? So with that, I now can do my 2 sets of parentheses. I still look at my last sign. Different signs. If I can write them as a plus sign here. Guys, what's my factors of 4? So for my A to be a 4, I get 1 and 4, 2 and 2. What do you guys think you would try first? Yeah, I'd try 2 and 2 first. 2x and 2x. Guys, 1 only has factor of 1 and 1. Let's check. If I get a 0 here, I know I did it right. A negative 2x, positive 2x equals 0. We did it right. Hope that helps you guys get started on here. Again, this is going to be due on October 31st. Do only the questions that are circled. If you want to do more, I have all the answers for all of the problems on there. But here's what you need to do. Do the worksheet first, then grade yourself. I want to see how you did your first time attempting this. I hope that helps you guys see a quick, easy way of factoring. To me, this is so much fun. But we will be using this to solve equations. The only difference when you're solving an equation is I set each one of the parts equal to 0. So we'll talk about that as well. Guys, have a great few days off. Can't wait to see you at parent-teacher conferences, and many blessings on to you. Stay out of trouble.